Судиловская, английский с рождения или даже раньше. И перевод будет, и вы увидите какой.
Hello guys, my name is Valeria. I'm EnglisHolic, and I'm glad to see some, I cannot say my students, my followers, my like-minded EnglisHolics who are supporting and following me. And I'd like to thank Tatiana, one of my EnglisHolics. Due to her, I'm here today. And why am I here today? Oh, Tatiana, you're here, yeah. Thank you very much. So why we are here today? Basically because of these two cute girls. They will introduce themselves by themselves.
My name is Nyunyusha. My name is Violetta. And we know also English, and we are also, and Mommy taught us English from birth, and we know what our daddy is a chef.
So are you Anglobelarus?
Yes.
So tell us about Anglobelarus.
And we are Anglobelarusacki, because we speak English, and we are from Belarus.
So, do we have any questions? We are ready for questions just from the very start. Well, then I do have a question. Who here speaks English and understands us now? Okay, so like actually almost everyone, right? So we can have a translation, but I suggest that my girls can translate so that you would see that they speak not only English but Russian as well, because we are constantly asked if girls speak English, speak Russian. Okay, so it's like I'm pretty anxious to speak in front of such nice audience. So we are Belarusians. We are from Belarus. And just because I have been brave after my first international marriage and after bringing up my elder daughter multilingual in a natural multilingual environment. When I met my dear husband and we gave birth to these girls here in Belarus, I knew already that English is a must. And you know, of course, that nowadays, like really, you need English everywhere. Like we travel a lot and we need it. We like work and the first requirement in all the job requirements, it's English. So, and it's a completely different mindset actually when you are multilingual. So when I gave birth to my kids, I knew already that I would be bringing them up bilingual, but I never knew if I would succeed. And today we are here to show you the example and to show you the proof that even here in Belarusian or Russian-speaking country, it is pretty simple and very, very possible to bring your kids up bilingual and give them English as your gift from birth as a natural mother language and tongue. Do we need to translate? Rose, could you help to translate? What Mommy said, like, can you say it in Russian? Give it a try. So what I was speaking about? Tell us your story in Russian.
In Russian?
Yes, in Russian. Come on. So show everyone that you speak Russian also. So tell us that Mommy taught you English, but you speak Russian also. Come on.
We speak
No,
Russian.
In Russian.
Мы говорим по-русски, по-английскому, что мы родились по-английскому тоже, потом по-русскому и...
Okay. So, thank you, my sweetened kittens, very, very much. So, why am I here today? Because I want to convey the message that it is pretty simple to have the same results like I have. It is pretty easy to make your kids bilingual. But the phenomenon is, even if both parents in the family speak English, they do not dare to speak English to their kids. Why? Because sometimes we feel like embarrassed or strange just to switch to another language. So that's what I'm happy to do here in Belarus. I'm happy to build up the environment, to build up the community of like-minded people who can speak English with their kids from birth also. And we make like different kind of events when we meet together and we provide this language exposure. We play with our kids, we speak to our kids. We don't force the language, we just do it naturally as you would be doing it with your mother tongue. So, well, I guess as I've told you, like I'm happy to see here like my followers, like families who come to our, I wouldn't say classes, I wouldn't say lessons. It's more like, we call it like English time together, because it's not teaching in a traditional way. Like, I don't just take books and do the exercises with kids. No, never. It's like when it comes to the little kids, it's always like baby-led learning, and this is one of the points of success also actually, which I wanted to highlight. For those Anglo-moms and for those Anglo-dads and Anglo-parents who would like to teach their kids English as early as possible, it should never be forced. It should never be, it should be like very, very natural. Like my advice is to treat English like you would be treating your like first language. So like we, for instance, in our family, we don't make a fuss out of speaking English. We never like separate, like, you know, we don't say like, okay, now we speak Russian and then we speak English. We don't do it. And by the way, like our daddy is here, so like usually we get like lots of questions about him, how he cope in our English-speaking family, while he himself, he didn't speak any English when I started speaking to my girls. So the advice is like, don't make a fuss out of like learning this language. Like, don't teach it, just leave it. So I mean by that, like, you know, I'm always asked the question, like, how to start, like how to make this first step when you already, like, I mean, like the parents, when the parents know English already, and how just to switch speaking to English. So like, you can get the encouragement of such like-minded people like me, myself, and like some of my followers and friends here, and just do it, just start, just do it the same way like you would be doing with your own native first mother tongue. And then it comes natural, then it comes like without any effort either from your side or from your child's side. I mean, like in this case, they do not feel that they are making something strange. And in this case, the parents also do not feel that they are making like something strange. And then like such questions like, am I overloading my kid like with the information? Am I causing the confusion for my kid with like speaking two languages? All of these questions, they automatically like go away, and you don't need to answer them, because like you do appreciate that if you speak your natural language, then you can never like overload your child with your first tongue, right? Right? Like when you speak, like for instance, your first language to a child, you never think like, oh, if I would tell this now to my child, like my child brain will like get like confused, and like it will cause some kind of distortion. So this is like, this will work out, believe me. And one more point which I would like also to highlight, and like this is the question raised usually by Anglo parents who are also like who also put in front of themselves like the question or not to do it, to become bilingual or not to become bilingual. And I looked at my girls and I lost the way of my thought. So you have to help with the questions. Again? Okay. So like I meant like be the role model for your kid. Yeah. So like your kids will think and speak in the way you do it. So they just copy you. They just mimic you. So the way you speak to them, if you would speak to them like in a natural, smart way, they will answer you the same way. I always like give this example, for instance, when we are moms of like small babies, we look at our babes, we look at their eyes and we say, oh look, such smart eyes. He or she like understands everything. And these babies, they just stare at you. They don't tell you a word yet. They just accumulate all the information, and just from your like eye contact, you can realize that your child understands you. So this process is the same if you speak like 2 languages, or if you speak like even more languages. But the matter is like if you introduce this language a little bit later, not just from birth, and if your child, for instance, speaks already or starts speaking one language, and you want to introduce the other language, don't expect the immediate results. Yeah, like some moms, some Anglo dads, they try, for instance, to help their kids and try like to translate into another language, in thinking that that would like make the things go better and faster and more efficient. No, like make your child like use their own brain. Like when they are using their first language, they are looking at you, they're trying to comprehend, they're trying to sense everything what you say, they're trying to guess. So the same happens actually with any other language. So if you switch to other language, if you give them the chance to look at you, to absorb this information, to sense this information, it might be not the immediate reply that they would give you, but after some time, they will speak out. So I mean, like, don't be desperate, for instance, if you didn't start the English learning from birth, and if you are starting introducing English a little bit later, don't be desperate that your kids are not starting to speak on the spot. Give them some time, but don't give up. Like, consistency is really, really important. Like, you have to speak with them English, in our case, like English, yeah. Like, most of the time, in order to supply them with enough information which they can relay later on to you. So, girls, I want you to help mommy a little bit. I want you to tell us a little bit about your English life and how does it feel to be bilingual.
When we are at home, Mommy calls us Tusia and Minusia.
These are our short names.
Yeah. And more, we have 2 cats. Their name is Yasa and Krivka. And more, when we go to sleep, they come and they want to drink water
Out of Mommy's cup in the morning.
Yeah. And when we are going to sleep, they come and they lay on Mommy.
They come to the instead of Mommy.
And they come on Mommy's favorite place where Mommy wants to sleep. And
We have lots of fun at our home. We go to different places, we travel, have a summer fun. We play with our sisters, we play
with our toys.
with our toys. have sleep time, sometimes not so often, but I know when we will have it. In autumn it's always nice.
And we play with leaves.
We throw them around our playground. Maybe I don't remember if we did this.
And when it's summer,
We have Vanessa's birthday and we have a bouncy castle always.
when my birthday is. And we like when we are at one place.
Well, we have, for instance, here like mommy of one of the girls, 3 years old, right? Who comes to our English time, and like she is a perfect example of how well it works. So Jana is here, and she comes to our English time with her charming daughter Eva. And like after some English time with us and some of the encouragement, I'm like happy to hear from Eva that they started speaking English in the family. So like you see, like this is like one of the examples. Like Jana speaks very good English, and her husband speaks very, very good English. And they want her girl also to speak English as well. But you see, like there was like no this communication in the family before in English, right? So like I'm very happy to hear from Jana now that after like communicating with us, after like becoming this like EnglisHolic as well with us, they started speaking English in the family, and this is the best way actually to provide the English environment, to provide the English exposure for your child. So like, you know, like my audience actually are not those who are just starting to learn English, I mean like the parents, yeah, but mostly those who know English already, but for some reason they do not switch to English easily in order like to convey it to their children. So like I'm just like encouraging you to look at Jana as well, and to take them as role models also, and just try to implement it in your families, because definitely your kids will tell you thank you later on for this. For instance, also like we have an example of one of the family, they are our neighbors and our friends and our students, our EnglisHolics by now also. It's like mommy speaks pretty good English, daddy like so, but like could manage, and their kids are my kids' friends, and by now, like being 6 and 8 years old, they question their mom. Mom, why didn't you speak English with us from birth, like mommy speaks with Tusa and Nunusa, so by now we would know English so well as well. So like the main point of my presentation today, also of my pitch, parents, if you do know English yourself, do speak English with your kids. It's like pretty simple, and if you do it naturally, that you would get like pretty good results. Like you can see the results now, and myself, I'm pretty much impressed, and I know like people are getting impressed when they hear my daughters speak English, and they get even more impressed when they realize that they are Belarusians and that they are raised here. So like the 3 main points which I want to highlight if you want to teach your kids: be natural and treat English as your natural first language. Don't make a fuss of it. Second thing, don't be a teacher. Don't teach it. Be role model. The kids are copying and mimicking you. So the same thing, like if they see you speaking English with your friends, with your spouse, with the siblings, like whatever, they will do it the same. So like don't teach English, like leave it. Make it like an English lifestyle. And the third point, when it comes like to the small kids, well, when I'm asked like what is the time when you like it's better to start English. Of course, I tell them that the earlier the better. So from birth, it's very good. By now, I also have like like-minded people who come to have English time with us, and the mommies come while they are pregnant, and they come like with their babies who are already born. And so like I think like this is the most perfect time actually to start, to make it like the most natural way. If you start like a little bit later, I always say like if your child can tell you, I do not understand, then it's already like a little bit late to start. It's better to start it earlier. So the best time actually like before 3 years old to make it natural. And then it has to be like completely baby-led classes. Like there should be no force, there should be no teaching in traditional understanding. So we do it like all moms do it, right? Like you cannot teach Russian, for instance, or Belarusian to your kids by like making lessons, right? You just do everything in your mother tongue, in your mother language. Like I don't know, like you wash hands, like you eat together, and like and you do it in your language. You go and play, and you go and read. You basically like all of your lifestyle is just in your mother tongue. So the same like we do in English, and the same like we do during our English time or during our play dates. We just follow the interests of the kid. Yeah, if we are together, or me when I am providing the English time. Yeah, so I just follow the kid, and we do whatever the kids want to do, whatever they are curious about. We do it in English, and you know also like the attention span of the small kids is like very short. They cannot really like concentrate on anything for a long time. It's good if they are concentrating like for 10-20 seconds on something. Like 10 seconds they are playing with this doll, and another 10 seconds they are already like playing with this book, and another 10 seconds it's like they are already interested in the butterfly, and another like 10 seconds it's already like their attention is attracted by kitties or something else. So don't try to change the interests of your kids at this moment. Just follow them and just like explain to them and point to them and describe to them everything like you are doing it usually in your mother tongue. So this is actually like the message which we wanted to tell you today, and thank you very much for your attention, and we would be happy if you ask us questions. Look at these kids and tell me if that is true or not true. Who is like closed for the communication here? I think my kids actually like are the most open for communication kids ever. So you know what? One of the reasons also why I wanted them to speak English beside Russian and beside Belarusian, it's not only about the language itself, because you know, like nowadays the technological progress is so fast that you know, nowadays you can put the device in your ears and everything will be translated for you. There is no problem in translating. There is no problem even like with the communication with the people. You can use all the technical means to translate and to be understood and to understand. But there is a point about brain development. Bilingual people, multilingual people, they have completely different system. They have completely different neural connections in their heads, and that's what helps them in their lives, like to be adjusted to different circumstances. And you know, like nowadays in our world, when the only constant is the change, the ability to change and the ability to adapt to the changing situation will be the most significant skill. If it is already actually a very significant skill, but in the future it will be like even more important. So giving your child another language as a gift from birth, it's not only about the language, it's about their brain development.
English, yes?
Sure.
Do your girls switch to Russian when playing on the playground with kids, or they continue speaking English with them?
Well, it depends. Like for instance, when Eva comes, yeah, like Jana's daughter who is sitting beside you, they do speak in English. So when they know that the kids around they speak English, they do speak English. If they see that someone around speaks Russian, they switch to Russian. And again, like we are not making fuss out of it.
And when speaking with their dad?
Yeah, like Tuisanini, so would you answer like how do you speak to me and how do you speak to dad?
When we speak English, when we speak to daddy, we speak Russian, or we sometimes speak with daddy English if he knows a little bit. But we also speak with mommy more English than with daddy.
Do you like to speak Russian or no?
I don't know still.
Okay. Thank you.
So, but like, can you switch to Russian and can you say all of this, what you said now in English, can you say it in Russian, please? Well, you see, actually, like, Tuisa, can you ask her the question, like, why do you prefer English to Russian?
Because English is more easy than Russian, I think.
Exactly, and that's what I'm telling, like, to all the parents. English is the most primitive language in the world. That's why, like, all the world speaks it. That's why, like, learning it yourself, actually, like, and conveying it and teaching your kids, it's so simple. Like, in comparison with Russian, it's like really, Russian is complicated and Russian is sophisticated language. So, to learn, if you are able and your kids are able to learn Russian, for sure they will be able to learn English.
And what are your plans for the school?
What are our plans for the school? Actually, Tuisa is already at school. Tuisa, can you tell a little bit about your school life?
Russian school or English school?
My school life is going on good. We usually had first the day when we have our, like when we introduce ourselves to the school, the first assembly in my own life.
And do you speak English at school or Russian?
Like always we speak English, only on the English classes I didn't go for the English class, but we always speak Russian.
Is it a problem for you or no?
No, I can speak sometimes mix with Russian English, or in English I can mix up some Russian.
Are you a superstar at school? Everyone knows you?
Do you feel yourself like a superstar at school?
I don't know still.
I think she's quite modest because yes, definitely she feels herself like a superstar, and of course there is a competition now in her class, like who would be sitting beside her, and like lots of her classmates, they would like to come to play with us and have like English time with us. Of course, like it's very encouraging for the other kids to see them as an example how like English can be spoken around, yeah, how easy it can be. And I must say, like, you see, I was worried a little bit that their English level like would go down, yeah, when they're going to the Russian kindergarten. So basically, they are going to the Russian kindergarten, and this year Tuisa also joined the Russian-speaking school. So, and I was worried, like, you know, there would be like less English exposure in their life, and so they would like forget their English. No way, like, you know, I have to tell you, like, if you started speaking English with your kids till they are 3 years old, this like language matrix, it's already imprinted in their brains. And it's enough just to support, but daily and consistently, with a little bit of English, and we still like get like very, very good results. So basically, when they go to the kindergarten, they speak Russian there with everyone, and they don't have any problem switching to it. Yeah, and then like when I pick them up from the kindergarten or from school, I start asking them like how was the day, and they like give me all the description in English, and then like we switch to our normal life in English. And then like we have like different classes, you know, like they go to the martial arts, or they go like to music classes. So they do all of that in Russian, But then we discuss all the same in English at home. Or for instance, like they have their piano homework in Russian, and I do with them the piano homework in English. Yeah, they see like that, it's easy for them. So any more questions?
What can we do if a child is older, for example, 5 years, 6 years? So is it possible to apply this technique, just start speaking English at home? Because I'm sure that my child will tell me, "Mommy, Mama, я не понимаю."
Yes, like this is a very good question and a very frequent question also. So like when kids are over 3 years old, as I've told you, like as long as they can tell you in Russian that I do not understand, it's already like a little bit more difficult to start, but still it is very, very possible. I can give you like the example, like when I got out of my double maternity leave, as I said, and as already like people who were like meeting us everywhere, they were asking like, please teach us the same way like you taught your kids. So we established this company, which we are wearing our t-shirt today, like the Go By, which is like English go by, like we wanted to encourage people to learn English. So we met a very, very nice American lady here who is mom of 5 by this time. She's mom of 5 kids. And I employed her in our company, and we started making with her the edutainment classes. You know, edutainment, like education and entertainment. So like learning by playing, actually, like for the kids. So we got the group of kids of different ages, but they were like mostly already either preschoolers or school kids. So like starting 5 and elder. And they had no basic basic knowledge of English at all. And they came to her classes, and she's American, she doesn't speak any Russian. So like, but she like, you know, she entertained them and she taught them at these classes. And I remember, I will never forget this moment, like the kids were like, after the class, they were running to their parents and like, you know, their eyes are like this, and the parents are like, what? And they tell them, we don't understand anything. And we go like, okay, but would you like to come next time? Like, yes! So this is the answer. Give kids some time. Of course, if you just start, they will tell you, we do not understand. And this will be the truth. Yes, they need some time to absorb the language, to be able to understand it, right? This is like why I gave you the example of the babies. When you look at your baby, and your baby doesn't speak, but you tell your baby something and you see that baby is looking at you, and like you can guess that the baby understands you. And it takes your baby not less than 2 years, or maybe like a little bit less, to absorb the information and start speaking to you, right?
Should we start explaining, for example, translating some words for the child just to understand?
I strongly recommend not to translate, because naturally we learn without translation. Did you learn your first language with translation? No. Like no mommies, no daddies would ever think about translating like for your baby. Like, are you kidding? Like for instance, if you are in a bilingual family, so if I'm for instance British and my Russian is husband, I would speak like English and my husband would translate everything what I say? No, you just speak the way you speak. You just do everything, you have like lifestyle in this language. So with the bigger kids, like we have the cases of resistance, for instance, yeah? So the elder kids, they can already tell you, oh no, I don't want to learn it, and like why it is useless. That's why actually we have our play dates. So like we do these play dates. What are the play dates? It's not classes. It's a time when we get together with our like-minded EnglisHolics, like I say, and we do play with kids in English, and we do communicate with each other in English. So basically it's like the situation like you come to the playground in any English-speaking country, and you mingle with people there, and you start communicating with them, and your kids see that people around, they do speak English as well. So when your kid understands that people around also speak this language, it's not just like artificial one, they start asking their parents to speak English as well. And this happens like a lot. I have like so many examples by now. I have like, I have my students who are coming to my English time, and then parents tell me like, you know what? She or he is forcing us at home to speak English with her as well. So it's just like the first steps, they are always the hardest one. Yeah, so like you just have to overcome this like first resistance, and we are here to help. Like we make our play dates constantly, like each Friday you can meet us. So like you can contact us. I have my details here, and you can find me like either on Viber or WhatsApp or on any social media. We are like everywhere. Like you can find me like Valeria, and girls, they have their own account like Anglobelarusachki. So you can find like with this hashtag them everywhere, and we are here to help. We are here to provide you with support, and please become our English-minded EnglisHolics as well. We'll be happy to have you in our gang.
Okay, thank you so much, Valeria, and our Belarusачки.
Thank you very much.
А сейчас у нас будет розыгрыш призов, поэтому я попрошу всех присутствующих, сядьте, пожалуйста, на первый и второй ряд. Наших партнеров будут ждать призы приятных.